But if you want entertainment on the mound, you're getting it tonight with Rio.
Yeah, they're gonna. This guy, young man right here, he throws from a lot of different areas. He is very emotional on the mound. He will smile. You'll see him move around. He'll have different arm slots. But the thing he has outstanding command of his fastball, and he needs to attack late. When he's gotten himself into trouble is when he hasn't been able to put somebody away with 2 strikes.
Pressure, pressure, pressure. That's what OU applies with this offense. 70 stolen bases on the year. And the leadoff man is dangerous. Trey Gamble, a year ago, he hit in 8 different spots in the lineup for Skip Johnson and the Sooners. He has settled into the table setter role for this Oklahoma offense. First pitch from Riojas. Fastball in there at 95. Riojas has an average velo on his fastball at 95.6. That is the 12th best in all of college baseball. Carson Tenney is battery mate yet again. And this one is hit well to left center field. And it is dropping. Gamble leads this thing off with a stand-up double. Not a lot of home run ability from 1 through 9 in this Oklahoma offense, but elite at taking pitches, getting on base, 70 stolen bases, which is one of the best marks in the nation, and they get their doubles and triples, and we just saw that from Gamble.
Yeah, they put pressure on you, and they get their base hits. They will steal third, so it's not like they just steal in second. They will steal on a regular basis, and now all of a sudden you got one of the better players at the plate with a runner in scoring position.
It is Camden Johnson from just down the road in Bernie, Texas, outskirts of San Antonio. Showing bunt and laying it down. Tenney picks it up and will fire to first base. Ethan Mendoza covers. 1 down, but able to move up Trey Gamble to third base, and that's some of the Augie Garrido influence that is going to be oh so prevalent with Skip Johnson's Oklahoma team.
Well, just you look at it, that was a very close play. Tenney got to it quickly, barehanded it, and just got him by his step. So it's a good play in the sense that he was sacrificing, yes, but he was also trying to get a base hit.
Brendan Brock struggled in the series, went against LSU, went 0 for 11, did drive in 1, and he's going to try to get Oklahoma the early lead. Sooners playing out front is so vital to their success, Keith.
Yeah, it allows them to stay offensively in the offensive mode of being able to run.
0-1 to Brock. Swings through that. He's now down 0-2.
Well, that's the slider. That's been his wipeout pitch to right-handed hitters. Left-handers, he'll throw a little change. He'll do some different things, but his slider has been an outstanding pitch for Ruger all season long.
Breaks something off in at 84, misses low, and it's 1-2. Riojas pitches with pure joy.
He does.
A lot of filth in his game, and essentially throws everything but a knuckleball. Drop down arm slots as well. This more over top. 89, typically a cutter at that velo for Riojas. For a guy that has that overpowering fastball, he doesn't just lean on the fastball.
No, he's not just always a four-seamer. He throws that little cutter that he throws there. He throws a slider. Occasionally to a left-hander, he'll mix in a change. He doesn't do it very often to right-handed hitters.
The 2-2, trying to get Gamble home. Up the middle, Riojas, one of the best defenders from the mound. Oh, and the play is safe. Gamble throws, scores from third. Riojas checked him, maybe not long enough. What do you think from up here, Keith?
Well, I don't think they're going to review it. They may be taking a look at it here. Right off the bat, Riojas looked at him, but you got to force him to make a move. Not long enough. You mentioned it when you first said it. He just didn't look him back long enough. You've got to make the runner commit, Lowell, back to third base before you turn and fire to first. And well, I tell you what, it is very close. The first replay we got to see right there, I'm not sure that left hand didn't get in before he was the tag from Tenney. But how about that base run? That shows you exactly the speed and what they try to do and the pressure that Oklahoma puts on you.
And that is saying a lot because Riojas is one of the best in America at fielding his position. Did that left hand, that sliding mid get in before the tag was applied by Carson Tenney? So up for review. Is that tag in place yet from Tinney? It looks like it is. This one should not count.
This is going to be overturned.
The runner is out. Texas retains the challenge.
How about that for a double play to wrap this thing up?
Yeah, and then what great job defensively. And all season long, the first baseman has been outstanding. And when Borba got that ball to the plate to get the out. He's a really good offensive player and has been for a long time, getting his chance to show his talents in the SEC, and he's just been outstanding so far.
Well, one of the concerns for Jim Schlossnagle was the loss Tuesday night at Houston. They blew a lead, and, you know, it's a mixed bag sometimes with these midweek games. But the biggest takeaway was he wants wins in those environments to extend that good feeling that the team has after winning an SEC series like they did against the Auburn Tigers. So still positivity for this team that's ranked number 2 in the D1 baseball top 25, right behind the UCLA Bruins. LJ Mercurius, he's typically the game number 2 starter. He gets bumped up to this Thursday night start, his 7th of the season.
Well, I really like him. You got to establish the strike zone. If he can do that early, you see the strikeouts to walk very good. And that's going to be very important. And then putting away the Longhorns once you get 2 strikes is important. So he's also moved up into this environment. He's a guy that's more of a veteran guy. He's been around. I don't think that a Friday night start or first game start, so to speak, it's because it's usually Friday night. First game start of a series is going to really worry him. He's going to attack.
Well, attack Ethan Mendoza leading off yet again for the Longhorns. And Mendoza looking at a first pitch strike, a 93-mile-per-hour offering. Mendoza 0 for 11 in the series win against Auburn. Struck out 3 times, drew a couple of walks. And trying to get the bottom of the zone, does not, and it's 1-1.
Well, Mendoza early in this season was the guy that was igniting this Texas offense. It has been a struggle over the last 3 weeks. He has struggled offensively. He is getting his walks, but he hadn't been coming up with those big base hits.
The 1-1 is down. Mendoza spits on that. We know this, though, with the added weight in the offseason, he's really helped his ability to accentuate his power. When he catches one off the barrel, it's as good as most players on the college level. Can he find a barrel here? Hitters count. And it's 2-2.
Good changeup. Just had him way out in front. I love that Skip Johnson's pitchers are not afraid to throw changeup. A lot of times, folks don't want to throw changeup right-hander to a right-handed hitter. They'd rather throw the changeup to a left-handed hitter. But went to the changeup and a good one right there.
Yeah, I'm curious, usually using the cutter to righties. Strike out at the bottom of the zone there. Mendoza doesn't like the call, but he's down on strikes looking.
And this is really well done. Come back with a heater right at the bottom of the strike zone. It was over the plate for sure, just right at the knees, and gets the call.
Carson Tinney strolls in, gets his footing here at UFCU Disch-Falk Field. Catcher, it's a tough spot. You know that as well as anybody. He did have the night off Tuesday when the Longhorns went to Houston, dropped that game. Just trying to do everything they can to make sure he is healthy for the stretch run, because when healthy, as good as any catcher in college baseball.
Well, tremendous power. You would plus power. He can go out of the ballpark in any direction at any time.
The 1-0.
Good changeup. They can check his swing, and it's 2-0.
Tinney coming off a 4-13 series against Auburn. And that's out of play. Camden Johnson doing the honors over at third base. Oklahoma, typically a stellar defensive team. Game number 1 at LSU, nothing was going right. Cam Johnson had his control issues on the mound, and 3 errors in that game early for the Sooners. Weren't able to overcome that deficit, but great bounce back performance for both of these rivals. They both dropped game 1 on the road. Oklahoma won the last 2 in Baton Rouge. Texas winning the last two in Auburn.
And Skip told us this week that, you know, they really have played great defense other than that first few innings last week.
That's out, full count.
It's going to be a different weekend here in Austin today. The wind blowing out, ball's going to really carry in all directions. Starting tomorrow, wind's going to be blowing in at 100, so it's going to be a much different day.
So take advantage of it, huh?
Yep.
3-2. And it's a one-out walk to Carson Tinney. Don't want a man on with Aiden Robbins strolling to the plate, especially with the wind blowing out. I mean, the dude does not need any help. And Aiden Robbins tries to stay hot coming off that 3-home run series against Auburn. Let me tell you this, his last hit in BP went through the camera well, the little gap off the batter's eye out in center field. An absolute missile. This dude is locked in.
Everything down so far. It's a good place to miss on a day when it's blowing out.
There's Ian working camera 4 out there in center field. Good thing he wasn't there for BP, because he'd have a bruise. Robbins off the hands, and this one will fade and die in front of Alec Blair in right field. That's a base hit for Aiden Robbins.
A great pitch. Sometimes you make a great pitch as a pitcher and you still don't get an out, but this is really in on his hands. This is a broken bat if they're playing with wood, and this ball just, but that shows you the strength of Robbins, is he's just able to muscle that ball out to right field enough to get it over the infield. Opportunity for Texas.
Here comes the frenetic Adrian Rodriguez. A lot going on with his at-bats. I don't know if there's a dude in college baseball that moves around more and is more animated in the box than this A-Rod. First pitch, chop, right side, and it gets foul.
Good changeup. You got to have a lot of courage, Laurel. You've been around the game, but your first pitch that you're going to throw a hitter, the first time he's ever seen you, and you're going to throw him a changeup. A lot of times that's hard to do, but his motion is so good, and get a strike on it. Had Rodriguez out in front, rolled over it.
Why is that tough, first pitch?
Because as a hitter, you don't know the velocity yet, so you're looking at it, and if you make a mistake with a changeup up, sometimes it goes a long way.
Rodriguez still looking for that first home run of the season. Oppo into the breeze, but this is going to trail foul. He's been going through a lot of pain with a surgically repaired hand. You saw that flare up in the series against Auburn. Some swings just cause discomfort.
Yeah, he's not hurting himself any further, but he's just having a tough time getting through at bat sometimes.
We saw that low first pitch swing rate from this Texas offense. This is a series that features two very disciplined teams. Both OU and Texas top 6 nationally in pitches seen per plate appearance, with more than 4 for each team. 1-2 to Rodriguez, and the fastball misses out.
Any team coached by Jim Schlossnagle is going to see a lot of pitches. He's going to get deep counts. You can't be afraid to hit with 2 strikes. Skip Johnson the same way. Understands it because Skip's such a guru for pitching and mechanics. He understands how tough it is to.
And just fighting this one off to the left side. Long run for Trey Gamble. Can't make the catch. Man, he made a heck of a catch at LSU. Right up on the wall. Collision and all. That is the enforcer for this Oklahoma team. We saw him almost get Oklahoma on the board in the top of the first. Very close play at the plate. Reviewed, overturned.
Well, I always ask coaches, who's that one guy you're really proud of? And I asked Skip today, you were right there with me. He said, that's the first thing he says, Gamble. There's no question. What he gives his team each and every day.
2-2 from Mercurius to Adrian Rodriguez. And again, another fight, another flare. And this one will find the first row and a souvenir on this Thursday night. Well done.
Pretty good catch. I don't think he's got any eligibility left, though.
Now, these days, if the NIL money is right, you never know. Here's Adrian Rodriguez, the man that Coach Law says is the most courageous player he's coached in more than 30 years of coaching. He has wanted to play despite that surgically repaired hand, causing him some pain and discomfort. And the runner breaks from third, and Camden Johnson applies the tag and gets Carson Tinney. I don't know if Tinney mistimed it or just thought that Johnson was too far off the bag.
Well, LJ had not looked back in the last two times. He comes set and it came to the plate. Tinney's thinking, hey, if he's not going to turn and look at me, I'm going to take off running before he turns. But this time, you come set, he pauses and turns and look. Tinney was already on the move.
Is that all off feel from Tinney?
Yeah, I mean, if you're thinking about getting a base and you see a pitcher come set and he's never turning and looking at you, and you're a runner at second base, and says, well, I can get as big a lead as I want.
Do you like it here, though, with your number 4 hitter up early in the game?
Well, anytime you get thrown out at third, I don't like it.
And this one is smoked to the gap. It's down. Tinney certainly would have scored. Here comes Aiden Robbins. Robbins gets Texas on the board. It's 1-0 Longhorns.
Talked about A-Rod having a tough time getting on top and at times turning on a ball. Well, he does a nice job right here. Gets through this as a breaking ball, 3-2. Hands back, does a nice job dropping the barrel on it and shooting it into the gap in right center. And the Longhorns are going to play with a lead here.
10th double of the season for Adrian Rodriguez, and that was the epitome of a tough at-bat for that young man. Timo Becerra will try to add. And this one is fought off. Base hit to the right side. Here comes Rodriguez. Plate the plate will not be in time. It squirts away from Bronk, and on the throw, Becerra moves up to second. Back-to-back RBI knocks by Rodriguez and Becerra.
Well, Becerra hit this ball a little firmer than it looked like, and it got to the outfielder in a hurry. There's no question, and Blair comes up with it, and he tries to go all the way in the air, low to the plate, and it's a short hop. You put yourself in a position. There are times if you could scoot it, but he put Brock in a situation as a catcher where he had to try to pick a short hop and make a tag. Just not going to happen.
Moves up the scoring position for the Pac-Man, Anthony Pack Jr. And this is smoked right side, but foul. Pack is trying to get it going, and he's been tremendous as a true freshman. But 0 for 13 over the last 4 games. Auburn had some big-time arms. Went hitless Tuesday night at U of H. But, man, he can move the barrel, to say the least. 0-1 from Mercurius, who almost got bailed out, finding Tinney trying to take third. And had Rodriguez down to 2 strikes. And it's 0-2 for Anthony Pack.
Well, that changeup's still been a really good pitch. He's found a way to get 2 strikes, Lowell, but he hasn't found a way to retire batters.
The 1-2. And the fastball low and away. 2-2.
Gotta love LJ's mound presence. So he's very methodical. He said, hey, I got to stay in this game, give my team a chance, let my offense to get going.
Tried to paint, doesn't get the call. And it's another full count. Pack looking for the same result that Adrian Rodriguez had.
Wouldn't be surprised to see changeup right here with an open base at first base. Was a changeup. He just missed with it.
So Pack is aboard. And you are not out of harm's way because here comes Casey Borba.
Comes to it right here. You see Pack. He tried to get him out in front, but the pitch was not a strike.
Love guys that are fired up to draw walks.
You play at home in this league. I mean, it's a heavyweight fight every weekend, no matter who you're lining up against, and know how important the opportunity to have big innings, because you just don't have that many opportunities to have big innings.
Borba had a monster shot to left field against Auburn. This gets away from Brock. Everybody moves up 90. Becerra to third, Pack to second. Not the start that OU was looking for, reminiscent of the Game 1 start against LSU, and here comes Skip Johnson.
Yeah, and I think this is the right move. I mean, you want to settle everything down. A lot of times you can send a pitching coach. I like that the head coach is going out and say, look, he's got his whole infield together. 6 of the 9 guys are right around him. He can talk about, look, it's about making a pitch right here. Yes, we're down 2-0, but we can get something going offensively. So this will be a laborious inning. 29 pitches already. His next pitch will be his 30th of the game, and try to settle everything down here and find a way to get out of the frame.
4 different batters he's had to a 2-strike count.
Hadn't been able to put anybody away. It's what it was, and then, he got in on a couple of guys, and it got in on Robbins, but it led to a hit.
Borba, 8 home runs, 24 RBI. Both those second for this Texas team. Pitch number 30 for Mercurius. In there for a strike, it's 1-1.
Borba has been one of those guys that's been so good at first base, making the transition. He's been a left side of the infield guy his whole life, now playing first base. But
and this is past the shift. 2 runs are going to score. And it's a 4-0 lead for the Longhorns. Casey Borba cashes in. Shift be darned.
Really good adjustment. And again, when Borba is thinking back up the middle and not getting too pull conscious, he gets the ball down right here. And boy, he just drops the barrel on it, beats the shift. There's 3 guys on the left-hand side of the infield. No chance to get Pack at the plate. And the Longhorns do get that separation here early.
First pitch strike to Jaden Duplantier. First home run of his career. And the series against Auburn. If you were just to watch that swing in a vacuum, you'd say this guy has at least 20 bombs in his career. That was a thing of beauty.
Well, he's starting to get some regular at-bats, and any baseball player will tell you that the more times you go to the plate, the more comfortable you feel seeing the ball in the pitcher's hand, left-handed or right-handed.
Another rip, but this is into the mid of Jackson Willits, and inning is over, but damage is done. Texas with 4 hits, got out of a base running miscue, and still plated 4 runs. Tinney did get the tag, so that's the old 1-3-2 double play.
Don't see that one very often, but I'd say the other part of that, Riojas didn't check the runner long enough. He's making forced to go back to third base before he threw to first, but Borba does a nice job of coming off the bag, staying on the bag in time to get the out and then making a great throw to the plate.
Jackson Willits quickly down 0-2.
Good player.
Tough, hard-nosed.
Yes, he is.
He's learned the right way from OU's associate head coach, his pops, Reggie Willits. And just fights to put this one in play, but it's straight to Ethan Mendoza. And a 3-pitch out for Ruger Riojas.
A nice change of speeds right there. Got him out on the front foot and rolled right over the top of it. Now, this is a big inning as a starting pitcher, no matter who you're pitching for, but your offense goes out and gives you a 4 spot. Well, if you can go out and throw a 0 and get your offense back into the dugout, this is, shutdown innings are big ones, and this is a big one right here.
The raw power of Dayton LaChance from Quebec. And this one is just going to find some vacancy past Rodriguez. And LaChance is aboard with a one-out knock.
Well, it gets in on him, but just you're talking about the power. I mean, this ball gets in on him just above below the label, as a matter of fact, but just strong enough to get that ball into center.
And in the spirit of March Madness, Alec Blair steps into the batter's box. Played a game for Porter Moser and the Oklahoma Sooners this season. My man Paul Biancardi ranked Blair number 59 on the top 100 for this year's freshman recruiting class, but decided, maybe have more upside at baseball. He was the number 52 overall draft prospect in the MLB.com rankings, decided to come to Oklahoma instead. That one appearance for Porter Moser against Wisconsin this year. Skip Johnson loves the upside, says he has enormous wow factor. Could be a great player one day.
Well, he's got great leverage, you know that, with his height.
6'6", 195. Smooth swing to left. And Pack is able to make it on the run. A chance going back to first, 2 down.
I'll tell you what, if he gets this ball elevated at all, it gets out of the ballpark. He hit it right on the button. It just didn't get any of the wind help because it was on a line, and Pack able to go back and make the play.
Nolan Stevens doing the DH honors, getting in the 7th spot. As the sun setting here at UFCU Dish Falk Field. Wind blowing out. Almost helped Blair on that previous fly out to left. Stevens takes a first pitch strike.
One of those many pitches. You don't see him throw a curveball very often, but he drops a little curveball in there for a strike.
Yeah, he's basically got an arsenal of pitches that he throws from more over the top, and then a completely different arsenal that he drops down with. It's more the traditional curveball there.
He's creative.
You're telling me he just like makes stuff up almost.
I'm telling you, he's so much fun to watch because he's just creative. He's trying everything he can do from any arm slot to get outs any way he can get them.
Oh, 2 to Stevens. Tinney thought that was strike 3. Hold that thought.
Take a look at this one. It had to be down. It had plate.
The 1-2. And Riojas has the first strikeout of his night. A confident walk back to the Texas dugout after he went skipping out to the mound before the start of this frame. Opening up the ESPN app to check that score while watching this game, as Texas has opened up a 4-0 lead over Oklahoma in game number 1 of this 3-game series. Ashton Larson leading off the bottom of the 2nd. First pitch swinging, a rarity for this Texas lineup. That's foul, but they will pull the trigger if they see a pitch early that they like. How much of that is a scouting report looking for something in particular? How much of that is just in the moment?
Well, they, as a staff, and Coach Tulowitzki will tell you that we want to get pitches to hit.
And there's one. Hard ground ball through the right side, and Ashton Larson is aboard. Well, they call this a rivalry, Keith. You are very accustomed to what it means to go toe-to-toe against Oklahoma in multiple sports, playing the Sooners in football and in baseball.
Well, you just first time that they've met as top 10 since 2009, and but it goes back to great coaches, Coach Seymour at Oklahoma, Coach Gustafson here at Texas. This series goes back an awful long way.
Back to the top of the lineup for Texas, Nathan Mendoza struck out his first time up. Texas was able to clinch the SEC regular season crown by beating OU in game number 1 of their series last season.
A lot of good things going on at Eldell Mitchell Park, too.
To center, Jason Walk. There's not much that gets by Jason Walk out in center field.
He can go get it as good as any center fielder in the country. He gets great jumps. He's got outstanding speed. You can play the corners with him. I mean, you can take your corners and say, play the lines, because he's got anything gap to gap.
Here's Carson Tinney. Walked his first time up, tried to swipe third. L.J. Mercurius caught him at the last moment. Camden Johnson applied the tag. He is dangerous. I like the comparison from Skip Johnson, saying that Carson Tinney reminds him of Cameron Rupp. Big, strong individuals that can swing it and are walls behind the plate. You like that comp?
They are a very good comparison, and both have tremendous power to right center. That's the other thing is, you see right-handed hitters that can leave the ballpark the other way and do it fairly easily. That's impressive. This is a young man that can hit 20 home runs before the year is out.
17 home runs last season for Notre Dame. He was a first-team All-American. And in Game 3 against Auburn, came up with a clutch 2-strike, 2-out, 2-run Oppo single with the bases loaded. It would lead Texas eventually to get that win. Backhand by Johnson, misplayed it. That's a really tough play though. And Tinney is safe.
He would tell you that I should make this play, but if anytime you cross over and have to go to your backhand on what is a high hopper, it is next to impossible to know you're going to pick it every time. I think they're going to give him a base hit on this, but we'll see what they give him. But there was a good effort to get the ball knocked down.
Yeah, Tinney does get credit with a hit there. And here's a guy you do not want to mess around with, Aiden Robbins, who has really embraced the role as a villain in the SEC. Not too bad from a kid from a small town in Pennsylvania. It was lightly recruited, had 2 fantastic years in Seton Hall, entered the portal. Texas landed him. He's always had elite bat-to-ball skills, good juice to the opposite field. Comes to work with Troy Tulowitzki. Now he has learned to elevate and celebrate with poolside tanks. Complete hitter.
I love guys that love to go to the plate and hit. You can just tell he likes to hit. And the other thing is, he's a huge Phillies fan. About 45, 50 minutes to Citizens Bank.
Did you go up to him and say, hey, do you know who I am?
No, but I told him I knew where he lived.
Big cut, and it's 1-1. So through the years, I know one of the terms that you use when it comes to bat speed, you just call it the way the bat whips.
Whip.
What do you see from Robbins?
It's such late whip. It's not a long swing. That's the other thing. Everybody thinks it's, oh, this guy's got big whip, and because it's a long swing. His whip is right at the end at contact. You can see him. He's got a little bit of a movement. I like his movement. He gets his body in a coil position, and then he unloads and throws those hands and creates that whip at contact.
2-1. This is where he's looking for something to smoke. Doesn't get it from Mercurius, who's treading lightly. 3 bombs against Auburn, all 109 exit velocity plus. That is stupid.
Well, there was 1,300 feet of home runs. Think about that, 3 homers.
Here's the 3-1. Mercurius just staying away from the power bat.
This is a huge moment. I wouldn't be surprised to see another visit, and I wouldn't be surprised to see the bullpen start to get active for the Sooners. And
at the moment, it's Brendan Brock trying to buy some time / settle down. L.J. Mercurius, who in his first season with Oklahoma has really been the picture of mound presence. It doesn't look like he's rattled. It's just getting the Texas hitters to 2 strike counts and not being able to finish. This was the situation where Texas really showed that fight. With Adrian Rodriguez, a lengthy at-bat, he had him down to 2 strikes. Count went full. Rodriguez then had a double to the right center gap, scored a run to get Texas on the board.
47 pitches already. Still just 1 out here in the second.
That's low, ball 1. Rodriguez 1 for 5 with the bases loaded this season. Mentioned the hand surgery he had in the fall. It was done by the same hand surgeon that repaired John Mateer's thumb. So there's some Red River synergy on the medical front.
And a change-up just stays downstairs. He hasn't had great command with it. It's such an important pitch for him, Lowell, and that's been a pitch that he hasn't been able to command in the strike zone.
2-0, looking for a strike. Trying to miss a barrel. Rodriguez, hot shot, Branch. Will it's in time. Bases loaded, double play to get out of the jam. Exactly what L.J. Mercurius needed. We'll talk to the OU head coach, Skip Johnson. Bases loaded jam. We're now joined by their head coach, Skip Johnson. Skip, first off, welcome back to Austin. It's always great to see you back in town. Talk to us a little bit about L.J. Mercurius. What are you seeing from your starter out there right now?
Well, I mean, it's a typical big atmosphere environment. So you get in there and you lose the momentum, and at the first, top of the first, we run into an out right there, and all of a sudden they got the momentum back. They come in, they almost pitches out of it. He doesn't pitch out of it, and that's what happens. And you end up giving up 4 runs, and you're trying to be perfect instead of just making pitches.
Skip, you were just saying it right there. That's where I was going. Sometimes you just have to make pitches. I mean, just bottom line, just put the ball where you want to throw it.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about hitting targets, and it's all about, throwing the ball to the target 1 pitch at a time, being in control of yourself.
Skip, we appreciate the time.
Thank you, guys.
Throw it to your target. Who used to say that in this park back in the day? As Kyle Branch rounds out to Riojas. Would that be the legendary Augie Garrido?
Yeah, I mean, I knew where Skip was going, but and that's why I knew he went out, what he was talking to him. He says, it doesn't matter what it is, a changeup, a breaking ball, or whatever. If you don't throw it to the location that you're intended to throw it, you're going to have troubles. And he found a way to make a good pitch. The ball was hit crisply by Rodriguez, but you turn the double play, and all of a sudden, you're very much back in this ball game after getting the double play.
And Skip mentioned running into an out. That was Trey Gamble who led this thing off with a ball that was well hit. Left center gap, stand-up double. And tried to take home on a ground ball from Brendan Brock. Back to Ruger Riojas. Initially ruled safe. They reviewed the play. Call was overturned, out. And that's just such a huge part of Oklahoma's winning formula. It's not a team that bangs. They don't have a big home run total. Just 24 all season long. That's 120th nationally. They need to play from ahead to be able to control the game and use their speed.
Yeah, it's tough to steal sometimes down 4-0.
Jason Walk, a threat to do that every time he gets on. He's got to get him off. And it's 3-1.
See this improvement, just having an opportunity to see this young man play over the last few years. You can see him improve as an offensive player and the things that he does offensively.
Shift is on. And it's a full count, 95, that electric fastball from Riojas.
Because there's nobody in America can play center field better than Jason Walk.
Coming off a 3-hit series against LSU. Chases. And that cutter, filthy.
Now that's having some courage, isn't it?
Yep.
You're down. You're down 3-0. Come back with a strike away, get a swing and miss, and then 3-2. The ability to go to your slider to the number 9 hitter. I mean, it was out of the zone, but as a hitter, you're thinking, I'm getting a fastball here, surely.
And that's what is really captivating about Riojas. We've mentioned that average fastball velo is 12th best nationally, but he doesn't just ride on that. It's the entire mix as Gamble grounds out to first. Riojas is having fun. Check that glove. Let me get a sip of Gatorade. Let's go. Best fastballs in the college game.
Well, he's just an incredible talent. And there are times he's unhittable. That's just the only way you put it. If he can command it.
Here's Becerra showing bump, pulls it back as Johnson comes crashing.
Becerra is talking to the staff. They talk about what good at-bats he puts on. I hate to use the term professional at-bat, but he puts on such a good at-bat. Played at Stanford, he's a veteran guy.
And this is going to get into the glove of Willits. Jump throw will not be in time, and that's an infield single for Becerra, his second knock of the night.
He makes solid contact. He's been good. They needed somebody to move into that 5 spot in the order, and he's done that very well. You don't look at him having tremendous power, but he can hit the ball in the ballpark, but he just has been very consistent since the beginning of the season for Texas.
Good glove over at third base as well. Anthony Pack Jr. My man was fired up, drawing a walk his last time up, came around to score. As LJ Mercurius falls behind to the true freshman. Mercurius, first year at OU, transferring from UNLV. Went 4-3 with the Rebs a season ago with a 3.47 ERA. Second team All Mountain West performance. He's on the staff with his brother Xander, who's a freshman and pitched fabulous out of the pen last week when Cam Johnson had his control issues, really brought stability to that game. And at some point in the series, we will see Xander, I'm sure, in a critical spot. As both these teams had to battle back from losing their opener last week and came back to win the series. Big wave for Pack. The 92-mile-per-hour fastball for LJ Mercurius.
Well, Texas dropped their home opener in the SEC play to Ole Miss. Oklahoma at home dropped their opener to Texas A&M, and then both teams go on the road and drop their opening game or their SEC series, the second series of the year. So
back to the fastball in there for a strike. In summary,
but they've won the series.
In summary, this conference is bonkers.
It's a heavyweight fight every weekend.
7 teams tied for first place at 4-2, including the Sooners and Longhorns. Mercurius has done a great job getting to 2 strike counts. Wants more of these put-out pitches. Not going to happen here. Pack to the right field fence. Pack is scooting. Becerra will be held up at third base. And he nearly got backpicked. And Pack getting the Texas bullpen come to life with the double to right, 6th of the season.
The theme of the night has been balls that are up. Watch where this ball is. It's up in the zone right there, stays at the belt. It's trying to get it in on the back foot and get it down. This one stays up, and the young freshman drives it into the corner. Chance to really blow this thing wide open for Texas here in the 3rd inning.
That swing was money from the guy they call Pac-Man. Casey Borba drove in a run with a single to left, his first time up. Part of that 4-run first inning, highest scoring opening frame for the Longhorns this season. 3rd start over the last 21 years of 20-4 or better for the Longhorns. One was last year when they were the number 2 national seed. The other time, 05. Lifted into the breeze. Gamble still going back. It's off the fence. Here comes Pack. Pack charging home, and 2-run score off the wind-aided double by Casey Borba. That ball kept going.
Well, we have a couple of things going on right here. You have twilight. It is difficult to find the baseball this time, and then right here you can see finds it. Now it just keeps carrying because it gets up into that stiff breeze. It carries all the way back against the Yeti yard. And Texas takes advantage. Still nobody out in the inning and a couple across.
So if you're telling me it's tough to pick up fly balls in this atmosphere, that fan out there in the Yeti yard, they should sign him up. He tracked that clearly the whole way.
Yeah, he might have had some help. I just thought I'd tell you, I'm not sure he tracked it. He just might have had some help.
He just found the closest guy to yell at? Is that what you're telling me?
That's what I'm thinking.
Duplantier 0 for 1. Lined out to shortstop back in the first. 26, now 27 driven in by Casey Borba on the season. Duplantier shows bunt.
Borba has just been such a blessing to move positions. They found a place for him, and then he's adapted to that. And then what he's done over the last 10, 12 ball games, he's been an outstanding offensive player for Texas when you look at the numbers.
He is one of the most dangerous hitters in pitchers' counts in all of college baseball. That was an 0-1 count. He now has 22 hits in pitchers' counts this season. That's the second most nationally.
You see it right there. The last 14 ball games, he's as good a hitter as anybody.
Oh, smoked off the glove of Johnson. Here comes Borba. He will score easily. Duplantier plants himself at second for the one-run double.
Again, I hate to repeat, but this ball's going to be up in the zone. Cutter that just stays up, and it's at the mask above the belt, and Duplantier turns and just rips it into the corner. And still nobody out in the inning.
And there is activity in the OU bullpen. It looks like this may be it as Skip Johnson comes out. His second mound visit of the game, first this inning, but it looks like Mercurius is done as OU will go to a lefty out of the pit. Just could not get the payoff pitch. You combine that with the ridiculous ability by this Texas offense to find barrel after barrel, and even balls that weren't barreled up. Swing it hard enough and finding some vacancy. It's 7-0 Longhorns as the Sooners go to the bullpen. Tough introduction to the Red River rivalry for LJ Mercurius. Transfer from UNLV, 63 pitches, 10 hits, 7 earned runs. The 3 walks don't help as well, and now his evening is done.
That was elevated. That's the problem. He just kept the ball up, and Texas made him pay the price for it.
Trent Collier is coming in, sophomore from Prosper, Texas. Transfer from powerhouse Weatherford Community College. Will face Ashton Larson. 94 for a ball. 7th appearance for Collier this season, a 2.35 ERA. Did not pitch in the series against LSU. Oklahoma did not have a midweek game leading up to their trip to Austin. Larson already has 1 single. And was looking to bump for a hit there. 1-1.
Well, it's a twofold opportunity. You try to get you a base hit, but if you don't, at least you move the runner up and get that runner to third with less than 2 outs.
Brock tried to bring that one back. 95 misses out, and it's 2-1.
Natural cut to it. His fastball is not really a cutter. I mean, it's a four-seamer, but the little run runs away from the left-hander and into the right-hander.
Good job there by Brock. Another JUCO transfer. Skip Johnson really leans into his JUCO roots. Excellent JUCO coach in his day. We're coming to the University of Texas. His son Tyler was the head coach at McLennan, now on the staff with Dan Hefner at Dallas Baptist. 3-1 from Collier. Runner is off. Duplantier in motion, and it's fouled back.
Yeah, I told you, Texas will run the bases, and he caught again. Tinney got picked off earlier in the game where he was going to third because the pitcher wasn't looking back. Well, Duplantier saw that again, and he had third because the pitcher never turned and looked at him.
Good fight here from Ashton Larson. First 2 years of his career at LSU. Won a natty with the Tigers. Only 5 starts last season because of a nagging quad injury. He's got upside. 20th round pick out of high school by the Twins. Decided to sign with LSU instead. And here he is with a walk. So Collier replaces Mercurius. That's another walk issued by the OU Arms. To the top of the lineup, and the only Longhorn that has yet to record a base hit, Ethan Mendoza. No pressure, young man.
Well, Texas is not a big sacrifice team, but you want to keep adding right here, and not a bad time for Mendoza if he wanted to put it down and try to move the runners up with 2-3 coming behind him.
Struck out looking his first time up, fly out to center field his second time up. And pitch clock violation. And so that will be a ball.
Speed the game up, sometimes it slows it down.
Mendoza added weight in the offseason. About 15 pounds of muscle to help his pop. And his 90th percentile exit velocity has reflected that. That's taken the average of your top 10% of exit velocities, really showing what a batter can do when they get a hold of it consistently. And that number has jumped. It was 99.5 miles per hour as a freshman at Arizona State. 103.7 last year, and now up to 105.4. A 2-mile-per-hour jump is a big, big deal. And not just for balls that you barrel, right? Let's face it, you hit a ball 107, if you elevate it, it's probably gonna be out regardless of what part of the park you hit it to. But when you can move the bat that fast, and we've seen it, you get one on the hands off the cap, if you are that strong, you have a better chance of getting on with the hit when it's not a barrel.
When he's swinging the bat well, too, the other thing, Lowell, is he uses the whole field. And he can hit it out to right. He can pull it down the line. You can't really do a shift on him because his spray chart is everywhere.
Runners are off and fouled back. So when you were playing, and I'm not making like an old person joke here, how much did you guys track like spray charts and basically in place of the technology that we have now, how would you use scouting reports? And
well, scouting reports, so a lot of times scouting reports had every ball that they've hit against your club for sure in all directions. So you knew if you were playing right field, all right, he hits a lot of balls to the side, so you knew where to line up. I used him quite a bit.
His ball is lifted, and Kyle Branch is under it. And it's tracking back, and he drops it. Duplantier is initially thinking about taking third, infield fly, and so that's going to be an out as Ashton Larson was thrown off by Duplantier taking off at second base. That's a tough one.
You got to know that the infield fly rule is in effect. You're right there behind it. You're going back to the bag, and second base umpire finally called infield fly rule late. That was very late on that call, which to me should have been made right away. And that's what Jim Schlossnagle was saying. Says why wasn't the infield fly rule called earlier? Because it puts yourselves in a position as a runner. You're saying they're not calling infield fly rule. So
yeah, if you're Duplantier, you see the ball in shallow center field. There's no signal by the ump immediately to the right of you.
Now, he'd had to give ground because the wind picked it up, and it's a tough play. Once the infield fly rule is called, you have to stay at the bat because the batter's automatically out. But it was a late call because you see it right. The ball was already dropped before he put up his right hand.
No chance there. So that leads to 2 outs in this inning that was setting up for Texas to really break this thing open. And it looks like home plate umpire is going to pull out the notebook here.
Yeah, there's a note to the principal. To somebody on the Texas bench.
I understand the frustration on a play like that. Duplantier had to break for third base. Larson saw him breaking, didn't know at that point it was infield fly. And here goes Duplantier trying to take third. The throw, not in time. And Duplantier comes up, stolen base number 7.
Well, he didn't get just an outstanding jump. You see him right here. He didn't take off till the leg was coming up. And good throw by Brock made it very close.
The 1-0 to Tinney. Strike at the bottom of the zone, 96 from Trent Collier. I just don't know what you're supposed to do if you're a base runner in that situation.
Most of the time, that's swing and miss, ends the inning.
We'll talk to the head coach of the Texas Longhorns. Lead. Time to catch up with Coach Losh. And Coach, you mentioned to us Adrian Rodriguez, probably the most courageous player that you've had as a head coach. What did you think about the courage in that first at-bat to get you guys on the board?
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, what he's done all season with what he's dealing with has been just absolutely phenomenal. I mean, the guy's like 30% of the offensive player that he's capable of being because of his situation, and especially against a good pitcher, multiple pitches, staying on the baseball. He did a great job.
And then Ruger, he's come out. Once your team got a lead, he's established the strike zone and attack.
Yeah. He needs to continue to do it, and hopefully he'll continue to do it while I'm on this interview.
Well, in the interview. How about that?
Yeah, I don't have great luck on these things.
All right, thanks, Coach.
All right, hook 'em.
In and out, right? He's not superstitious, is he?
You and I have known him a long time, so he has never been one of those fans that I was doing a game when he was at TCU, and a 4 spot went up pretty quickly.
That was the end of that,
Yeah.
that interview for that series. Here's Camden Johnson facing Ruger Riojas. Sweet 16, under 4 minutes left. Texas and Purdue tied up at 70. Understandable that that's garnering some attention at the dish tonight. I see you peeking there to your right, Keith. Gonna give me some play-by-play?
No, I was looking to see if that score was updated for sure, and it is. So,
what a tournament run by this Texas team. OU had a great end of the regular season run with Porter Moser, beat Texas, and nearly got in to the NCAA tournament. I guess that's why you hire a coach like Sean Miller that has experience making runs in March, and he's doing that right now. This would be a huge upset if Texas basketball could take down Purdue. I don't think that's really Kevin Durant. Could be wrong. 2-2 for Riojas. A little bit of trouble here. It's Camden Johnson leading off for Oklahoma.
Sometimes you want to stay in your pattern at pitching and the deal, but you also got to understand the scoreboard sometimes and say, all right, here it comes. Here's my good fastball and see what happens.
City goes to a cutter. And it works. Strikeout number 3 for Ruger Riojas. Back-to-back for him after punching out Jason Walk.
Ruger has not changed arm slots tonight, but this is a guy that came into the game, folks, with 5 walks and 50 strikeouts.
First pitch strike to Brendan Brock. uber athletic catcher for the Oklahoma Sooners. Talked a lot, though, just about the joy that Riojas plays with. His dad is a firefighter, so sees adversity nearly daily. And from a young age, taught his son, Ruger, how to embrace adversity and challenges with a positive attitude and a smile on your face. And Riojas has certainly embraced that from beautiful Wimberley, Texas. Started his career with 2 campaigns. Coach Hallmark at UTSA, the fixture in their bullpen, and now has become one of the best starting pitchers in the SEC, and a guy that's going to hear his name called in the draft.
If you start on Friday night in the SEC, or what we call the first game of the series, or Thursday night.
To left field, and out of the glove of Pack. Pack made a heck of a run, and Brock is in safely to second.
Well, Pack upset at himself. You could see he stayed down after he laid out, but this is a great effort to get to it. Just one of those little half swings where you're fooled, but reaches out and gets it on the barrel, and Pack has it in his hands as he's laying out. It hits in his glove. He just couldn't secure the baseball. Comes as a 1-out double.
Here's the hard-nosed Jackson Willits trying to get Oklahoma on the board.
There's that arm slot change.
And Willits trying to alert his teammates what that pitch was. Well, you mentioned the challenges of facing the #1 in SEC play. Last week, Oklahoma got Kason Evans in game #1 against LSU. Evans struck out 15. The most a pitcher has struck out against Oklahoma since 2009.
He was just outstanding. I mean, there are guys that you're going to face that scratching a hit out is a tough thing to do.
3 hits for OU, 2 of them hit hard to the left center gap. Another flare mixed in there with no runs. Trey Gamble led off the game with a shot to left center. It was a double. Brendan Brock came up and chopped one back to Riojas. He checked Gamble for a moment, threw to first. Gamble broke. Casey Borba made the throw to the plate. Initially ruled safe. OU was on the board. Play was challenged, overturned, and OU has not threatened since that moment. Popped up left field. Pack is there, and it's 2 down. Well, Wednesday afternoon, our SEC Now Spring Football Show will have updates from spring camps, preview spring games, look at some of the best pro day performances, and break down the SEC draft eligible players who will or could have their name called in Pittsburgh. Coverage begins at 1 Eastern, noon Central, right here on SEC Network and the ESPN app. Dayton LaChance is the hitter. Tremendous raw power, has yet to run into one. Still looking for his first home run. The Boomer Sooner.
He's a young man, though, that gets the barrel on the ball consistently, and it's going to come.
Texas has only allowed 9 home runs all season. 4th fewest in college baseball. The chance goes back to the dugout. And I think his teammates are faking injuries. Drew Dickerson saying, "You got me."
You got to have fun at the ballpark.
A chance down 0-2. What will Riojas come up with here? Back to that cutter. And another strikeout for Ruger Riojas. Oh, the hair is flowing. So is the confidence. It's a 7-0 lead for Texas over Oklahoma. First time since '09. These rivals go into a series both ranked in the top 10. LJ Mercurius, typically the game 2 starter for the Sooners, who moved up to get this Thursday night start, struggled with the put-out pitch. Texas tagged him for 10 hits, 7 earned runs, season highs for Mercurius. Meanwhile, the Longhorns had their highest scoring first run of the season, 8 of 9 batters with a hit, 4 doubles, the most in a game for the Longhorns this season. What we have not seen tonight and this night with the wind blowing out is the long ball. But that could all change because Mason Bixby enters the game and he's going to face Aiden Robbins. That's a tough wake-up call and an entrance to this game for Bixby.
Well, you look at Bixby, he is the 6'7" right-hander, 230-pounder. He's from San Antonio, Texas, transferred in from TCU. An explosive fastball and a good hard slider. You see his numbers on the year. The big number for him is that he has just struggled with command. He's got 7 walks in 6 2/3 innings. He hasn't given up many hits, only 2 hits, so guys haven't been squaring him up. It's just about getting the ball in the strike zone.
Aiden Robbins has yet to square one up, yet he's reached safely twice. A flare to right field for a single his first time up, and reached via a walk in the second. And right now, there's a lot of silence inside UFCU Disch-Falk Field because people are settling in, watching the Texas basketball game right now on their phones.
It's inside a minute, put it that way.
It's a nail-biter right now with Purdue. Last check, it was a 1-point lead for the Boilermakers after a tip-in by Kendall Weaver. 95, so you see the big arm, big fastball. But the location, as Keith mentioned, shaky there, and it's 2-0 to Aiden Robbins. Texas team with 41 home runs this season. It's not Georgia-esque by any measure, but that still is top 20.
That's free and easy. The big right-hander, 6'7", has got great tilt. Goes across his body a little bit. That means he steps harder toward third base and comes back across his body. Makes it difficult to pick up that good velocity.
The 2-1, and this ball is hammered and dropping down for the second single for Aiden Robbins. Let's get caught up on what's creating buzz nationally. The West Coast, let's see, revival out on the left coast. UCLA #1, Florida LSU Vandy all unranked. What in the world is going on with that?
That's just really hard to believe. And then Georgia Tech is playing about as good as baseball as anybody in the country. Their offense has been outstanding.
How about 12 runs a game? Blackie and Zuckerman leading the charge for Georgia Tech. Fun to go on to True Media and look at the TrackMan numbers for that Georgia Tech team. Something about hitting baseballs in the state of Georgia. The Georgia Bulldogs and the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets do it about as good as anybody right now in terms of just absolutely hitting balls hard.
And they're both playing good hitters' parks, too. I'm just telling you, Foley Field is a great place to hit.
The 107 at Foley is the same as 107 in
is.
College Station.
Yeah, you're right, but there's certain ballparks that all hitters love to go.
What about the scene, though? The scene at Foley, the scene that you saw at Auburn last weekend.
It's unbelievable.
I mean, college baseball sizzling right now. Such a great watch. Got a feeling, too, tomorrow night's crowd is going to be off the chains here at the Dish. Texas, #2 in the D1 baseball top 25, Oklahoma, and #8. What stands out? How about a lot of SEC, a lot of ACC?
Too, and those last two, you look at Virginia and Florida State, they can do so many different things, very balanced ball clubs.
Mississippi State made a heck of a hire from Virginia, and they look like the Diamond Dogs of old. Here's Adrian Rodriguez. Man, Jim Schwarzenegger was just raving about Rodriguez and the fact that he's trying to play when he's not 100%. Doctors have told him, like you alluded to earlier in the game, he's not going to cause any further damage by playing right now with that surgically repaired hand. It's not all the way healed, but discomfort certainly is a factor. 3-1 for the switch hitter. A little stare down as he draws the walk, and it's Robbins on second and Rodriguez on first. Nobody out.
Boy, it's awful good stuff. You see a guy that the ball just jumps out of his hands, and it's just about throwing a strike. Repeating that release point. Sometimes guys at 6'7", it makes it very difficult for them to repeat a lot. I like the fact that Bixby throws out of the stretch to give himself a chance to get to a good load zone where he can find that release point and deliver it.
How tall is he?
6'7".
For the kids at home. Here's Becerra hitting with 2 on. Infield single his last time up. Also has a single to the right side that drove in a run in the first. And this is behind Brock. He's able to pounce on it. Something to be said about guys that have played at the highest level at blue blood programs. Becerra certainly fits that bill. 4 seasons at Stanford. Has himself a degree.
Good slider. Best pitch he's thrown since coming into the game. That's what he can do to you if he can get ahead of you. He has the stuff to put you away.
Good fight there by Becerra. Just 2 strikeouts by the Longhorn hitters so far tonight. 2K hitting has been clutch all season long for these Texas bats. Case in point right here. Another 2-strike knock. Robbins will score from second. 8-0 Longhorns.
You talked about it being a veteran guy. You get a ball up. It wasn't hit all that well, but again, the term again for the night is a lot of these balls are spinning up in the strike zone. And Texas doing a nice job. It's not exit velocity. It's just where it's hit right there. Find a way to get down, and still nobody out in the frame.
Anthony Pack Jr., a top offensive player that Longhorns were able to get on campus in this freshman recruiting class. He's going to be a star, has a huge personality, and you can just see the skill set. Has star power written all over it. Quick bat. Can scoot as well. 1-0. The 2 on for him. 97 from Bixby. Here comes Skip. Well, Saturday afternoon, we'll have the second game of a 3-game softball series between number 3 Oklahoma, number 20 LSU in Baton Rouge. Coverage begins at noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central on the SEC Network and the ESPN app. A rarity, with OU softball not winning a national championship, but it looks like they are back on track if they were ever off track, and one rare year not winning it all.
Well, Patty Gasco's done a great job. It's just unbelievable. They just put themselves in position on a regular basis.
They hit. 2-0 strike delivered there by Mason Bixby after that pep talk with Skip Johnson. 17 pitches in after entering for Trent Collier, who will place LJ Mercurius. A double and a walk for Pack.
Just missed. 3-1 again.
And so the buzz in the stadium right now is because Dalen Swain is at the line with 11.9 seconds left, and Texas trailing by 1 in the Sweet 16 to Purdue. So Pack draws the walk, and this is probably the most uninterested that a Texas crowd will ever be with the Longhorns loading the bases, because it is now tied at 77 after Swain hits the free throw with 11.9 left. Look at this. You can see March Madness on the phones. Hey, does it get better than that, though? I mean, you're at the park. You're watching two teams in the top 10. You got your phone with you, and you're watching a Sweet 16 matchup that's coming down to the wire.
Well, you look at that scenario, you've got to be able to separate a little bit, because you have different fans for different sports. But more times than not, fans that are for certain schools, it doesn't matter what sport's playing, they're going to be rooting for them. So Texas basketball fans that are here watching Texas baseball are rooting for them.
Such an important series for both these programs. Even though it's early, you look at the top 7 of the SEC standings, it's 4-2. 7 teams tied at the top. Now, we'll have more clarity, the separation, as the SEC season develops. But I know it's early. This, though, feels like a huge series for both these teams.
Well, you got to defend your home turf. In the SEC, you got to win 2 out of 3 at home. And if you go on the road, you got to win 1. You can't get swept. So those are the things that you're looking at when you're looking at this game. OU's trying to find, let's get at least 1. And on the other side, Texas is trying to put themselves in position to maybe get that sweep and get some separation in this league.
And off that, Skip Johnson is obviously not throwing in the towel, but he is using arms that he typically doesn't use in leverage situations, thinking ahead to games 2 and 3 that OU will need to capture this series.
Now, there was a huge tip in. You heard the crowd, and so it's one of those where
Purdue just won, huh?
Yeah.
Well, now we get to focus on bases loaded. I don't know if anybody wants the silver lining after that inning. And the cheers right there. That's for the effort of the Sean Miller-led Texas basketball team that unexpectedly reached the Sweet 16 in season number 1 with Coach Miller and fell
on a tip in
at the buzzer. Unbelievable. Back to baseball. Reed Hensley, senior from Lufkin out in East Texas, is coming in for the Sooners. Bixby, Hensley, guys that have not really thrown in SEC play.
You look at it in SEC play, Hensley has appeared in 1 ball game. He went an inning, he walked 2, did not give up a hit, so he has appeared in an SEC game. There are a lot of good arms in this OU bullpen, and they're going to have to find a way tonight in this particular game to start throwing some zeros up. It's going to be difficult to do because the Longhorns have 7 across already, and they have them loaded here. Actually, they have 8 across, and they have them loaded and nobody out.
Leon, Jones, Bowden, Cleveland, those are the top arms out of the bullpen for OU. We ain't going to see them in this game unless OU can hold here and get something going offensively and make this a game. First pitch ball to Casey Borba, who is having himself a night. 2 for 2 with 3 driven in. Working that pull side with a single and double. That's in there for a strike. 1-1 to Borba.
If you can maintain that velocity at 94 on the outside corner at the knees, you're going to get a lot of outs. It's just, can you repeat that pitch?
Borba has struggled in these moments so far this season. 0 for 5 with the bases loaded. But he is locked in tonight. It was a struggle for him last Tuesday, last game against Houston. And that was a check swing that goes in play. The glove flip to home is in time. What a play there by Reed Hensley to get the out at home. That's the only play that he had.
You always see pitchers working on flips, and you're thinking, are they just goofing around? Well, it might come into play because this did right here. Watch it. He couldn't, no chance to get it to his glove, so he picks it up with his glove and then flips it to Brock and gets an out. No chance to get an out if he tries to put it in his hands.
Loaded for Duplantier. Doubled his last time up. One career home run, and it happened this weekend. Game 2, 3-run home run that was an absolute no-doubter. Going old school with that Dave Winfield low hands approach. Doesn't quite have that big scissor landing on the front foot heavy like Winfield did. Or the career home runs,
Yeah,
but
well,
who does, right?
Batting average with runners in scoring position, though, 417. He's done a good job.
Any shot any of these guys on this field know who Dave Winfield is?
If they've ever looked at the roster of the Baseball Hall of Fame, they know who he is. Pressure
pitch here for Reed Hensley. Take advantage of the wind blowing out. Keith has already called it. Wind will be blowing in tomorrow. No home runs tonight. This will do the job. It's past Willits, and Duplantier has driven in 2. That guy's on top of the world right now.
Talks about him getting regular at bats, and boy, he is just taking advantage of it. He gets a ball he can handle down in the zone and just hits it in the 6th hole. Drives in a couple. Longhorns really put themselves in a great position here.
Doubles and singles, the name of the game tonight for Texas. It was the long ball. That was the story in the series win against Auburn. 5 home runs against the Tigers. Just 2 doubles. Tonight, a different story. 4 doubles. 13 total hits, and spraying the baseball to all fields.
Going with it, taking advantage of the miscues. It seems like every time that you get a walk, it ends up scoring, and then the other part is pitching from behind and mistakes up in the strike zone.
And the way this is setting up, if Texas can keep throwing up some zeros with Riojas, we're looking at run rule territory, 10 after 7, which would allow Schlossnagle and company to keep some arms fresh for the next 2 games in this series as Larston draws the one. So one of these things is not like the other. There's a lot of numbers on the left side except for this man, Ethan Mendoza, the lone Longhorn, to come up with a knock tonight. Bases loaded, 1 out. Hey, it's as good a time as any. Entered this game 3rd on the team with 23 driven in. 5 home runs on the season. Had a hit Tuesday night against Houston. Went 1 for 3, drove in 2 after an 0 for 11 series against Auburn. First pitch strike, the bottom of the zone by Hensley.
And you're not going well. And Mendoza, you can see him shake his head.
like,
Thought that ball was down, and instead it's called a strike. So that one step off that will reset the pitch clock. Good overhand bender right there.
Pitch clock as a hitter, would you have used your time or just jumped in there and made eye contact and hit?
Let's go hit. Of course, we used to play baseball in 2 hours and 30 minutes.
Some things have changed. And this gets away from Brock. Borba to the plate, beats the tag. And it's 11-0 Texas.
You got to anticipate that if you're Borba and make sure you make a good clean break, because this ball's not that far away, but you got to be anticipating it. And Borba does anticipate it, just in under the tag. Everybody moves up 90 feet. That was a good effort to try to get the out. Borba was already to the plate before the tag.
We've had some activity at home plate tonight, have we not? Already one call that was overturned there, and Mendoza's saying, come on, man. You obviously thought that one was up. Vero January, home plate umpire, obviously disagreed. And it's his zone, man. Hear it all the time. Carson Tenney, the muscle-bound catcher. Locked to be a high draft selection with what he does offensively, combined with his ability to command a staff. Number 3 ERA in college baseball, the Texas pitching staff. And Tenney can turn and burn with the best of them.
Tenney thought the ball was in, turns and asks. Pitch breaks in, called a strike on the breaking ball.
Tenney's 90th percentile exit velocity is 113. So what that means, the average of the top 10% of balls that he puts in play is 113 miles per hour. That is second best nationally behind Pitt's Lorenzo Carrier. Folks, if you hit a ball 113, and more often than not, you're standing up somewhere. Throw is off the mark, but the tag is made by Dayton LaChance at first. And Texas adds 4 more, and it's an 11-0 lead for the Longhorns.
Does a nice job right here. Thought he looked him back quick enough, but gets out of it with a great throw from Borba, and they get out of the first. Then he starts mixing his pitches. Good slider a couple of times, a cutter, goes back to the slider. He's been able to paint the fastball. Boy, he's thrown up nothing but a 0 since that threat in the first inning. He's allowed 3 hits, and he will be facing here for the Sooners the 6, 7, and 8 spots as we go to the top of the 4th.
Alex
Fifth,
Blair leading off. He is a fly out to left, a ball that was hit hard. Riojas, though, with that sway, he's a throwback. Butch Thompson, head coach of Auburn, called him a powerful artist on the mound. And I love the artist aspect of it, because when you throw 96, that's your average fastball velo, how many guys will even want to be crafty? They're just going to try to do that, rear back and try to come get it.
Yeah, but when he does rear back, that's the thing is when he mixes in his other stuff, it makes that a foot faster to get to you as a hitter at 94, 95.
No idea what's coming from Riojas. Going back to the fastball, hits the spot, and it's 1-2. Just 48 pitches for Riojas. Really settled in. It was a rough start against Auburn. Settled in nicely in that game until ran into some trouble in the 7th. But this is as efficient as you can get, especially facing these SEC bats. Oklahoma, good offense, but it's built to play with the lead. They want to create havoc on the bases, and Ruger says that's not my style. 3 hits allowed by Riojas. No free passes. 1 runner has reached third. That was Trey Gamble, who then was punched out after the review overturned the call at home. Right off the bat, first inning of this game.
You know, college pitchers are used to going on 7-day rotations, and so Riojas has also moved up here.
That's a nice piece of hitting by Alec Blair. Blair taking a big turn and will retreat to first. Hit number 4 for the Sooners.
That was a nice job. Now, it was a breaking ball from Ruger that stayed up and out over the plate, did a nice job keeping his hands back. Watch him just sit, keep his hands back, front foot gets down, and you can see him just go out and go through it. Didn't try to pull it. That's a really good adjustment as a hitter.
Some of that upside that Skip Johnson was raving about. Hitterish, as people like to say. Here's Nolan Stevens. First season as a Sooner after transferring from Mississippi State. Fastball misses, and it's ball 1. Stevens is the first strikeout victim against Riojas tonight. That was back in the 2nd inning.
He's had a good feel for that cutter tonight. Well, anytime you're 1-0, you have a good fastball. If you can go to that secondary pitch, and still firm at 88, 89 miles an hour, but it's just got a little movement off of the barrel.
But somewhere, Dennis Eckersley is saying, come on, man, that's my look.
Heck, I was a teammate, great teammate, by the way. And he loved to have fun pitching.
You look at his old bio when Riojas was at UTSA at the start of the career. No mustache. There's no flow. It was straight by the book. And I mean, keep Austin weird, right? Like, this is where you can't have the flow and the mullet. Yeah, there you go. Flip the mullet. It's all good. See, and he knows the camera's on the mullet. Like, he knows what he's doing. Born to be a Longhorn. Born right across the street, other side of I-35 at St. David's Hospital. And dots that one. Strikeout number 5.
I'd say that this great location with the fastball. You showed the cutter, you showed the breaking ball, and then come back and just nip the outside corner with 94, 95. As a hitter, you can't snap it. You can't pull the trigger quick enough.
Here's Kyle Branch. His big bro Colby, one of the top shortstops in the SEC. Great glove, power bat. Wes Johnson and the Georgia Bulldogs. One of the leaders in the SEC in home runs. Little bro's got 1 on the year. Sophomore that coming off a strong performance at LSU. 3 of 8, drove in a run, scored 3 times. Gotta say though, Riojas is such a refreshing watch in this era that bigger is better in terms of velo and the metrics. To see a guy embrace that, his velo has continued to uptick, but also just understand the art of pitching. It's the perfect blend of new school and old school. Trying to retire Branch here. Breaker up, and it's 2-2. And I totally get it. I understand why velo plays, and it always has. But there is a control epidemic right now in college baseball. And Ruger Riojas is bucking that trend. That ball is hit hard. Pack scoops it up. Blair and Branch are aboard with singles to the left side. Just getting started here in Austin, Texas. Rivalry series. Gonna have great crowds all week long. Game number 2. Tomorrow night, Friday. I know it's a little confusing for all of us with this Thursday start. It's gonna be 7 local, 8 Eastern. Saturday's game 3, 5 Eastern, 4 local. And we got a pinch hitter for Boomer Sooner. Deshaun Harris. Speedster hitting in place of another speedster, Jason Walk. Oh, you're trying to get something on the board. They lost their opener against LSU 7-1. Came back to win game 2 4-2. Trey Campbell had a couple driven in. Game 3, 4-3 win after the comeback in the 8th inning. Texas took 2 of 3 at Auburn. Dropped game number 1, 4-3. Walk-off fashion. Game number 2 had a 6-0 lead and held on. Auburn loaded the bases in the 9th. Thomas Burns got out of it. Game 3, not quite a cakewalk, but they were locked in with a 5-0 win. Riojas and his 1-2.
Went to an arm slot change. Went to the changeup and tried to drop down and throw it. And just faded away from him.
The breaker is into the glove of Pack. 2 down. So the Oklahoma offense, 189 over the last 4 games. 2.3 runs per game, and the extra base hits not happening. Like we said earlier, not a big home run hitting team. They rely on the speed, doubles, triples. That's the calling card for them. Just haven't been able to come up with it.
Yeah, you look at those numbers and you think, how did they win 2 ball games?
Great pitching, great defense will do a lot for you. And this is an Oklahoma defense that is elite. They had 3 errors in game 1 against LSU. The pitching was all out of whack. Cam Johnson could not find the zone. LSU had that early ballooning lead. But awesome defense in the 2 games that followed that. And that's going to be who OU is. It's not like this team all of a sudden is going to show up and start mashing and leaving the yard multiple times a game consistently. Although Trey Gamble, the guy they call Uncle, is certainly a player that can do that. Nitty-gritty dude, older, has served a LDS mission for a couple of years. And that's why they call him Uncle. He is an awesome player. Team leader coming into this game, an average OBP and OPS. The tone setter, and there's a walk. That's the first free pass issued by Ruben Riojas. Shades of what we saw in the 7th inning against Auburn, but this game not really in flux like that game was in that stage.
Yeah, but you look at it, all of a sudden his pitch count was in a great scenario, and now all of a sudden he's going to throw his 70th pitch, and that's going to prompt a visit. As he was in great shape, but you're here in the 5th inning. Again, he is on a day short. People that just getting into college, following college baseball, starting pitchers in college are used to 7 days in between starts. And when you get them off of that rhythm, sometimes it really affects them when you make them even a day short. It's only a day. Their arm's in good shape, but they're not in the same rhythm that they're used to having a week in between appearances.
Rhythm is a great word, because in this game, hasn't been a chance for Riojas to establish a rhythm. Quick through OU, and then he goes and he sits while the Texas bats have had some long half innings.
Yeah, but there's not a pitcher alive that won't take those runs.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Blair at third, Branch at second, Gamble at first for Camden Johnson. Camden Johnson, beautiful left-handed swing. Junior transfer from Wichita State. I'm sure he's got a lot of friends and family in the crowd. Grew up in Boerne, Texas, just south of here.
He's got all the tools. He can hit the ball in the ballpark. Good fielder, throw, really run.
Crowd's into it now. Ruger Riojas, bases loaded. 2 down, 0-2 count. And we'll go to 1-2.
And he went to that cutter. That's a really good take, a hard take for a left-handed hitter. That ball's going in their back foot. Looks like a strike out of his hands.
What can you possibly expect if you're Johnson right here? And they pick your poison. Yeah, that's filth.
Sidearm changeup.
Yeah, it's probably top of the scouting report, right? The tongue wag for Ruger Riojas. And the dish loves it. This man just loving life. Hill, a thing back in '62?
Well, if that game was played at Clark Field, it was definitely that. But that could have been in the postseason.
Desan Harris checks in center field, taking over for Jason Walk. Here's pinch hit for him. Reed Hensley back on the mound. At this point, Skip Johnson seeing no reason to use his top bullpen arms, and Aiden Robbins didn't really like that. So they're keeping him at home. Robbins is saying he got hit. Schwarzenegger wants this to be reviewed.
It's like he caught his back arm right there. And you get a chance to see it.
Texas is challenging whether the ball hit the batter or not.
I don't see anything from that angle that immediately makes it clear and obvious that there was contact.
I would agree.
But not a way to sell it. I mean,
if it did, it caught his. It would have been in his, just inside his right bicep.
initially I couldn't tell if Robbins was selling the hit by pitch or if he tweaked something as he was contorting his body just to get out of the way. But there was almost that moment.
That little smile right there tells,
like, hey,
tells me that
I'll hit. I don't know how you feel about it, but I love dudes that will do anything they can to get on base.
Get a chance to see one more time. The ball doesn't change angles. I don't think it touched him. So I think it will cost Texas a challenge, and he will be at the plate.
Bought into being the villain. He's embraced that role. What a scene in Auburn. I mean, he was getting beer thrown at him. He had his highs. He had his lows. But one thing never changed. He kept barking back the whole time. And he had that misplay in center field that led to the walk-off for Auburn in game number 1. And this dude came back in game number 2 like a man possessed and was locked in. Did not go into a hole. Did not feel sorry for himself. That was impressive.
Yeah, this is a long review. You get a chance to, the first one that he hits is in the left center, and this ball absolutely got out of the ballpark. This next one is going to go over the scoreboard.
After review, the ball did not hit the batter. Texas is charged with a challenge.
And then the last one was almost left over the green monster in center. So 1,300 feet of home runs.
So call stands. He was not hit by a pitch, so now he gets to go hunt. Ahead in the count at 1-0. He has reached safely 3 times, 2 singles and a walk. Looking for some slug here. And that is Hensley trying to stay away from the barrel. He has learned how to elevate poolside. Why is that so challenging for guys avoiding poolside top spin ground balls?
Well, so many times young hitters grow up. I really think you've got to use the whole field to be a good hitter. And then the next part of that is you get so conscious of hitting the ball the other way and staying inside the ball that there are times that, especially as an outfielder, they want you to have some pull power.
Yeah.
Because they're going to start really pitching you inside. And he's done a nice job of adjusting. He still has his power the other way. But
yeah, the ball's ripped center field to the track, up, almost got it on the rebound to Harris, and that is going to be 2 bases, trying to make it 3, and that is why you don't take the hit by pitch when you can hit missiles like that.
Well, this is a heck of an effort, folks, in the outfield. First of all, the ball's got carried. We've got a bunch of breeze. And just a heck of an effort to get to it. But you see, that was what I was talking about. Still has that good power. And he goes up, it's off of his glove. It never hit the wall, and then he makes the second effort.
Almost
he had
a catch
2
of the year.
chances to catch it.
What a play by Harris. It almost was. Robbins with the triple. 106 off the barrel to straightaway center field. On a line. And Tough with the win to track that. Alec Blair comes over and says, hey, man, that's a good job. Tough read. And Skip Johnson's upset about something. And we will have a pitching change. So night is done for Reed Hensley. And now Nate Smithberg will enter. Nobody out here in the bottom of the 5th. Texas leads 11-0. Nate Smithberg is the new pitcher for the Oklahoma Sooners. Junior out of Libertyville, Iowa, has 1 appearance in SEC play. It was in the Game 1 loss last week at LSU. Faced 2 batters and did not record an out. 7th appearance of the season.
They will bring the infield up. Well, the Sooners here flip Rodriguez, who's a switch hitter, around to become a right-handed hitter.
First time that he's hit from the right side. One for 2. The sidearm delivery slides off the barrel and foul. What do you think about different bats used by Rodriguez for the different sides of the plate he hits from?
Well, you know what? If you'll watch guys enough, there's a lot of guys that use a different bat in every plate appearance. It seems like that in today's world with the aluminum. Now, if you had a piece of wood, you're gonna have the one that you like, and you're gonna take care of it. Aluminum's a little different.
And it sounds like the torpedo bat could be making its way to the college game. Marucci is now producing a metal bat with a torpedo barrel. It was in vogue last season at the major league level.
Yeah. I'd love to see college play with wood, but that's
so is Skip Johnson.
That's just my opinion.
Skip Johnson believes it's dangerous, and it's also teaching pitchers bad habits, that they are afraid of the barrel. Afraid to throw over the heart of the plate in fear that it's not coming back.
In Major League Baseball, you pitch to the handle. In college baseball, you pitch to the end of the bat. And that's the difference, because you pitch to the handle here, you get hurt a lot because the bat doesn't break.
Popped up. This was tricky last time for OU, as Branch misplayed it in shallow center. Fights to win this time. And there's one down.
Well, we have almost a due south breeze, a little south-southeast, and it's blowing everything out toward left field. And again, major front supposed to be coming in between now and tomorrow night's ball game. It's supposed to be blowing out of the north at the same 25 to 40. It will be difficult to catch fly balls tomorrow too.
Here's Timo Becerra. 3 hits, all singles, including one infield single back in the 3rd. Driven in a couple of runs. Scored himself 3 times. First generation college graduate in his family. Native of California. It's awesome to see a young man like Timo Becerra use his skill set. Get a degree at Stanford along with playing baseball at an extremely high level. And truly a life-altering experience for him, and I'm sure his family. That's not bad if you can end your college career and have 1 degree from Stanford and get another one from the University of Texas.
A master's.
You're going places. Once the baseball days are over, of course. To right field. Blair making a long run with a runner tagged from 3rd, no. Robbins staying put with the 11-0 lead. Long run for Blair, and he makes a catch.
And that was not an easy play. This ball is blowing back to him and getting knocked down with this breeze. And able to make the long run and put it away.
Right field has long been an extremely difficult position to play at the dish. It's not typically because of wind. Augie would always talk about the sun, especially the setting sun, creating so many difficulties out there. But the wind obviously does make things all the more challenging. This is an OU team, though, that played a deciding game against Texas A&M a couple weeks ago in gust of winds that, at least according to Michael Early, head coach of the Aggies, reached 50 miles per hour.
L. Del Mitchell Park has it. It has wind. Norman, Oklahoma has wind.
Anthony Pack, a couple of walks and a double. To right field, this is going to get down. Robbins scores. Pack an aggressive turn. He wants 2, and Pac-Man gobbling him up.
Well, you got to think second base when you leave home plate on a ball like this. You got to be anticipating. He says, I'm going right now. And he came out of the box with that mindset, made a good, strong turn. You can just see him right when he leaves the box right here. He's thinking too right now, I'm going. He ain't looking at a coach. He's not going everywhere he can. He's watching that throw and knows it's going to be close, slides to the inside corner. Comes up with an RBI double.
15th hit of the night for the Longhorns. Ties their season high. Big swing and a miss from Casey Borba. Love that intent, man. That's playing the game the right way. Also learning a little bit from that long run that Alex Blair had in the previous play out and right. But that was going to be a challenging locale for Blair to get to. And now Pack wants 3rd. It's smoked! Left field! Bye-bye! Home run number 9 on the season for Casey Borba. 42 on the year for the Longhorns. And the first of the night.
He has just been outstanding over his last 50 at-bats, and continues that here tonight. This is one that just absolutely jumps off the bat. It didn't matter which way the wind was blowing here.
I believe that's now 8 home runs in the last 13 games for Casey Borba. 109 off the bat, 25-degree launch angle. TrackMan distance of 427. TrackMan does not account for the wind. Wind blowing out. That went farther than 427. Wow. The only inning Texas has not scored, the second. And remember what happened back in the second inning.
4-6-3 double play.
Bases loaded. Impressive. And I think Jim Schlossnagle really wants to see what his team would look like after that disappointing loss at Houston. Quick turnaround with some delays getting back from Auburn. Pointed out that the most disappointing part of that was it takes away from some of the momentum that you gathered from winning a huge series on the road at Auburn. Texas is in complete control of their emotions, of the scoreboard, and everything in between. Bombs away for Casey Borba. He knew it. He knew it. 14-0 Longhorns. A little bit of gloom when Texas basketball lost off that Purdue tip-in the Sweet 16. And that's actually, now to think about it, kind of when Ruger Riojas lost the focus a little bit. I don't think there's a correlation there, but fans were a little bit quiet. Riojas is a guy that really feeds off that fuel from the environment, but was able to finish the 5th with a strikeout. He's back out there for the 6th after a hearty applause on the walk to the dugout that we may have thought of, hey, 14-0. Wasn't that score at that point. It was 11-0. Maybe that's it for Riojas. And that is foul.
Well, at this point of the year, I mean, we're 7 weeks into this season in college baseball, and so you look at it because of that. You know, these guys have been building. They're 90 to 100 pitches in one of their starts, and this is his 76th pitch of the night.
0-2 to Brendan Brock. The shift spot on and handled by Ethan Mendoza. I would argue these are critical pitches and outs here for Ruger Riojas, because if you can get to the spot where you just use your starting pitcher, or maybe an arm that is not in the mix for leverage situations for later in the series, you at least match OU in terms of arms available from here on out.
You're right, and you look at that, there's no question with the weekend series in college baseball, you have probably 8 guys that you were counting on going into a weekend, and in high leverage situation, 3 of them have to be starters.
So I'm not saying at all that Skip Johnson has given up on this game, but he's a smart man. He's seeing big picture here. He understands how they lost game number 1 in Baton Rouge, came back to win game number 2 and 3, and is structuring his pitching in a way in this game where he is not burning the arms that he typically uses when the game is still in the balance. .3-0 here to Jackson Willits. Skip Johnson. Baseball and whitetail hunting. 1A and 1B for Skip Johnson. And we spent a lot of time talking about whitetail hunting before the start of this game.
Known each other a long time, so.
He is a great man and a beloved figure here in the city of Austin for the job that he used to do with Augie Garrido's pitching staff. This rotation, I'm sure he would have loved to work with a group like this. Riojas, Harrison, Volantis.
Now you look at it, Luke Harrison has had so much on his plate. At this point, it looks like he's going to toe the rubber in game 2 for the first time with his team one up in a series. He's had to go to the mound in the last 2 SEC series.
LeChance to right field. Duplantier is there.
Just getting back to that point, he's had to go to the mound, where you've got the series on the line. He's got to do his job to keep his team in the game to get a chance to win the previous 2 SEC series.
Here's the freshman, Alec Blair. With the pitch selection for Riojas, he throws everything. Is that something that there'll be pressure for him to whittle down as he gets into pro ball?
No, they will probably get him to concentrate more on some type of off-speed pitch. That fastball there is a good one. He's got a little tail to it. He's got a nice cutter. And he's learned to use his slider.
Just swing up until he has to come set on the mound. The 1-1, Alec Blair. Mendoza playing a deep second base, bobbles it. That's going to be an error.
You just don't see that very often. Ethan Mendoza is one of the best fielding second basemen. He just stayed back, and he just, something he does not do is do that. And this should have been out of the inning. Instead, got a couple on it. The other thing that happens is you force your starting pitcher to throw more pitches.
Great point. Drew Dickerson now coming off the bench to hit for Boomer Sooner. Hitting in place of Nolan Stevens, and this is well hit to center field. Robbins gets his eyes on it. Commit follows. Riojas in control. If he would only start to have some fun. Jaden Barfield. Barfield did see the mound against LSU. Entered game 1 of that blowout loss and pitched the 9th. 1 inning pitch, 1 hit, no runs.
Well, he's made a start, making his 8th appearance. And again, command. You can see the numbers right there. What jumps off the page is the 6 walks and 4 1/3 innings of work. Got to get the ball in the strike zone. Longhorns have taken advantage of being ahead in the count and pounded out 16 hits in the game.
And we're going to have a pinch hitter for the Longhorns, Mannix Mansour. We'll get his shot. Man, he was awesome. In game number 2 against Auburn, had 3 hits, including a 2-out, 2-strike, 2-run off-field single to give the Longhorns a 2-0 lead in that game. And they needed every run they could get because they held on to win 7-6. Freshman from Carrollton, Georgia. And he can fly. 83 stolen bases in high school. That was a program record. Swing and a miss. 93 the offering there from Barfield.
He's done a nice job coming off the bench and his opportunities to play this season.
Yeah, looks at 3 pitches as Barfield struts his stuff after that strikeout. Back to the top of the lineup, Ethan Mendoza. 0 for 4. Only started, yet to record a base knock. But he has been the tone setter for this Texas lineup. Thought about it. did not go, and it's 1-0.
When you're in a stretch that you're not swinging it as well, sometimes you're not seeing it. That's a good take right there, not going after a ball up in the zone. That's not a bad take with a breaking ball with a 1-0 count because you're thinking fastball. You have to maintain your hitting thoughts, even though it's been a while for you been having success.
Now, ain't picking on the guy. How tough is it, though, to remove that thought of the error in the field, which hardly ever happens to Mendoza. We're talking all SEC defense last year.
Yeah, I don't. The ball just came up. He doesn't make many, but it's totally different. There's such a mindset to hitting. To think of it this way, in Major League Baseball, if you get a hit 3 out of 10 times, they put you in the Hall of Fame. I mean, if you hit 300 lifetimes,
now that's almost unheard of.
So you've got to understand that there's failure in hitting.
3-1 for Mendoza. And there it is. All the Longhorn starters have hits tonight. Mendoza finds barrel and a stand-up double.
And you never know when that one time when something like that happens. It's been a little bit of a struggle, and you just absolutely smoke one and short hop the wall. Get out, and that may turn into a big weekend and get you going. You never know when that turnaround is going to happen.
6 doubles for the Longhorns tonight. That is a season high. Only 44 doubles on the year coming in to this game for the Longhorns, because what they typically do, they mash, they leave the park. Power bats like Tinney. 1-1 there. Longhorns 29th nationally, just under 9 runs per game. This will help that average. Also elite at taking their walks. 157 walks drawn coming into this series. That's 11th best in baseball.
They see a lot of pitches.
7 walks drawn tonight. I mean, they got one of the best to do it that's really settled in and found, I think, his calling as a hitting coach in Troy Tulowitzki. I mean, the ultimate student of the game. Talk to anybody that was around him in his playing days in the big leagues, and they will tell you hardest worker that they were around. And pours that same kind of emotion and energy into working with these hitters at the University of Texas.
Well, mindset is so important. You see right there, he's talking about what guys are doing, what mindset you're in. And that mindset, sounds weird, turns into a game plan. And then you have a game plan when you go to the plate.
One-two to Tinney. And that hit his back foot.
That hurt. There's a breaking ball, and you just can't get out away from it. It's chasing you. Lowell, you're in the box, and it's a left-handed breaking ball, and you're thinking, well, I can get out of the way, I can get out of the way. No, I can't get this out of the way. It catches him on the kneecap.
I thought it was the foot initially as well.
It's the back inside of his right kneecap. That hurt.
And not wearing his armor. For a guy that, man, is built to endure the grind of being a catcher in the SEC, but trying to avoid as much unnecessary contact as you possibly can. Keep him healthy for this SEC grueling schedule. Aiden Robbins, last time he tried to sell to the home plate umpire, he got hit. Went into a review after initially called he was not hit. It was an unsuccessful challenge.
Those some good numbers right there.
And stood in and ripped his triple. He's got 3 knocks tonight. Another ball hit well to center field. Harris fields it cleanly this time. And Mendoza tags from second to third. Well, we got some rivalries. Of course, the ultimate, Texas OU, Tennessee and Vandy, Auburn, Alabama,
Ooh.
Mississippi State, Ole Miss.
I'm telling you, there's not any of those that are not must watch.
Yeah.
Because they're all must watch. You just,
What do you think about Vitello over with the Giants?
you know, it's going to be interesting. I mean, he's got so much energy. Tony is an outstanding baseball man, and he understands that part. But I'm telling you, I went from college to playing professional ball, and all of a sudden, 50-game season to 162. You got to be a little more low-key through. It lasts a long time.
And there is a lot of energy coursing through that man's veins. Loves the game. Did a tremendous job at Tennessee. And it's all about that challenge. What have you not done yet? Keith Moreland pretty much did everything you could possibly do on the diamond, and now has to hang out with me. Rodriguez, and this is back off Barfield. He recovers.
That's a
and
nice
is
play.
able to throw to first to get Rodriguez. Some self-preservation there for the OU pitcher. Go to the seventh. 3 outs away from ball game. Opportunity to strike first. Trey Gamble was caught trying to give the Sooners their first run of the game. And Texas kept at him, poured it on. So here we are. SEC run rule. Game ends with the team leads by 10 after 7 innings. It's a 14-run lead for the Longhorns. So Ruger Riojas goes back out there. Face a pinch hitter for the Sooners. This is Dayton Talkie. He's been playing some first base for OU. He's been struggling as of late. And pitch 88. A week ago, it was a 99 pitch performance for Riojas in game 1 against Auburn. What do you think about letting him, at least for the moment, stay out there to try to close this
Well,
thing?
I think that they felt like that he was in good shape. His pitch count was, you know, it's getting a little elevated. If he can get a quick out, you might see him finish this ball game. He'll be on normal rest next week. Texas plays another Thursday, Friday, Saturday series, so he'll get his full 7 days from today.
The 1-2 from Ruger.
Still got a good feel for that breaking ball. He has made very few mistakes with it tonight. It's been in the right location, just didn't get the. He wanted to try to drop that one on his back foot, just didn't hack at it.
Let's see if Riojas gets funky with the arm angle here. Pitch number 91 over the top. Straight gas. Robbins camping under it. 2 outs away.
We're looking for that guy to come out and set the tone of a series. It's just an outstanding job. He's a couple outs away from getting credit for a complete game.
Deshaun Harris, second time up, flied out to left after replacing Jason Walk as a pinch hitter. Nasty. Breaker is in there. Starting ahead is Ruger Riojas. 6 strikeouts, 2 walks, 5 hits. And the only time that OU really has challenged was in that first inning. And who knows, if the Sooners are able to score Gamble with the way they play, that potentially could have changed everything. But Texas has left no doubt. Plated 4 runs in the bottom half of the first. Did not score in the second. And 3, 4, and 3 across the 3rd through 5th. Both bullpens at this pace will be untouched in terms of the top arms for the final 2 games of this series. Critical one for both these teams. Entering 4-2 in SEC play, among the 7 teams tied for first in the conference race. It's a big hack from Harris. Tomorrow night, we will see Luke Harrison towing the rubber for the Texas Longhorns, and really intrigued to see what Cameron Johnson is going to look like after he has struggled with his command over the past 2 outings. But when he is on, Skip Johnson says one of the best left-handed arms he's ever coached, and he's coached some great ones.
Well, I've watched enough video to say that he's one of those guys that if he's consistent, he's a handful.
And it's just fastball. I mean, there's not much secret to what Johnson does on the mound. Can't control it. 1-2 from Riojas to Harris. Fight continues.
Game's pretty well decided. 7th pitch of the at-bat coming, but you got to love a guy that's, I mean, he's battling in this at-bat. He's been down in the count. This is the 7th pitch of the at-bat he's seen. He's still up there trying to get something done.
And lifts this one. Becerra will call off Rodriguez. Maybe shouldn't have. And that's why you run hard out of the box. Harris is on the second. So OU has had a misplay because of the wind, and there's one for Texas.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's not the last one of the weekend, because we're going to have big wind in every ball game. Just at the last minute, you can see him right here. The wind's pushing it. You think you got it, and then what's that last little dart where it sort of catches that wind and that backspin coming on the way down, and just gets away from you.
And some light catch now happening in the Texas bullpen, as this is pitch number 99 for Riojas. So that matches his pitch total from a week ago.
He's a guy that can go over the 100 pitch mark. There's no question. Good ratio, 65 strikes, 34 outside the zone.
Went to 119 in a game last season. This now is his season high at 100 pitches, and the velo on the fastball still firm at 95. 0-2 to the hard-nosed Trey Gamble. Always a tough out. Led this game off with a double. But Riojas gets his revenge. 95 elevated. One of the toughest pitches to hit in baseball, according to the data.
Well, you just can't get on top of it. You see it so well. Lowell as a hitter, you say, oh, there it is, and you just can't get the barrel up to it, and it gets by you, especially if it's got some velo on it.
And that had plenty of it. The rock, the sway continues for Ruger Riojas. In command in this opening game between two teams that don't think fondly of one another. Highly respectful. A lot of bad blood. First time since 2009. This rivalry features two teams inside the top 10. Texas has looked dominant tonight. 14 runs, their most against OU since 2000. Pitch 104 on the way to Camden Johnson. And the Longhorns are a strike away from winning game number 1. Infield now shifts on the 1-2 count, so that's going to allow Harris to just move up and take third base. Riojas doesn't even step off. He knows what he has to do. 96 called for a ball. 2-2.
Yeah, that's interesting. And pitchers, a lot of times would look at that and go, you know, if I do give up a hit here, I might give up an earned run. But they did give an error on the play on the fly ball, so it's an unearned run.
Ball game. Texas wins 14-0. First shutout win for the Longhorns against OU since 2013. And their largest shutout win ever against OU.
Dominant performance on the mound, and offensively, what can you say? You pound out that many hits and you found a way to get it done, but it's just one. The Sooner Club has lost their first game in every series so far this season.
And they have saved their bullpen arms for both these squads, which should shut up an epic game 2 and 3 to follow. We'll have it all on SEC Network. The Longhorns with season high 17 hits, 6 of them doubles, and 14 runs to show for it. Longhorns win 14-0. Game number 2 on tap.